他才20岁就继承了一大笔财产，还是整座宏伟庄园的唯一继承人。而在父亲离世之前，更为他觅得一位家世显赫的贵族作为未来丈夫。可偏偏就在此时，他却情不自禁被叔叔请来的绘画老师吸引，一份暗涌的情愫在心间开始悄然滋生。
Laura, I feel so different, Marion. I can't stop thinking about him.
It can go away, if you will it to.
Well, how would you know? You've never felt it.
玛丽安当然不愿妹妹偏离既定的人生轨道，所以当看到她主动对沃特献吻后，第一时间以姐姐的身份对她说教提醒。此后她索性向尚被蒙在鼓里的沃特摊牌，将妹妹已经订婚的消息直言相告，以彻底斩断她的念想。沃特满心期盼能从她口中得知劳拉对这桩婚事的抵触，不料玛丽安竟斩钉截铁地表示，妹妹对此从未流露过不满。她告诫沃特，既然已经了解了真相，就不应该再继续纠缠，这既是为了他自己好，也是对劳拉必要的保护。
I will do everything that you have asked. I promise.
在真相面前，沃特筑起了情感的堤坝，转而将工作当作唯一的寄托。这天他修复完费尔利先生的画作，鬼使神差走到了花园。在劳拉曾对他献吻的凉亭里，他再次挥动被冷落多时的画笔，仿佛唯有如此才能安抚无处安放的灵魂。然而就在他完成画作准备离开之际，忽然感到似乎有人影掠过，他急忙追出去查看，竟然在雾气里再次看见那个熟悉的白色身影，正是他此前遇见据说是从疯人院逃出来的白衣女子。沃特心头一紧，加快脚步追上前，却终究还是跟丢了目标。那道身影似乎被巨大的恐惧驱使，几个转折便引入树林深处，再无踪迹可寻。
You're sure it was the same woman?
Certain.
Here, this'll help.
I'm sorry I put all this trouble.
No, God, not at all. I remember a time when Limerick felt more alive.
Why did she come here? What does she want?
We don't know for sure if it was Anne. She could be dead.
Dead or alive, she has returned.
沃特素来不相信什么鬼魂之说，他清楚记得自己曾和那位白衣女子对话，她分明就是一个神志混乱的活人，这一点确凿无疑。此刻真正令他困惑的是，白衣女为何会出现在里蒙里基庄园，又与这深宅大院里的人潜藏着何种不为人知的联系。与此同时，劳拉竟收到了一封匿名信，信中赫然揭露她未婚夫帕西瓦尔男爵品行败坏，如果和他结婚必然会坠入不幸的深渊。写信之人恳求劳拉务必在婚礼前查清他的过往，以免追悔莫及。这封没有署名的来信仿佛一道阴影，在劳拉心里投下了深深的不安。她片刻不敢耽搁，赶紧把这件事告诉了姐姐玛丽安。
Marion, this is just pure malice. It's just a grudge, Laura, that's all. But perhaps it could have been one of the servants. Don't let it play on your mind. I'll go and find out who delivered it. It is nothing but simple jealousy. That's all.
玛丽安虽不了解帕西瓦尔的为人，但外界对他的风评向来没有恶名，因此他断定必定是有人嫉妒这桩美满婚事才进行的恶意重伤。得知他要找出写信之人，沃特于是决定跟他一道。因为早上他刚看到园丁儿子拿着一封信，交谈中他才得知劳拉未婚夫竟然是准男爵，这个称谓让沃特心头一震。他清晰记得白衣女子也曾喃喃低语说过准男爵这几个字。正在这时，两人恰好遇到了园丁儿子，只见他面色惨白，透着惊慌，指着不远处的墓地语无伦次，说他刚才看见了身穿白色衣服的鬼魂就在他母亲的墓碑前。玛丽安和沃特急忙来到墓地，然而却并没有发现任何可疑的身影。
What, you think it's your woman in white?
Someone has been clearing the grave.
Did she write the letter to Laura?
I suspect she did, yes.
在玛丽安回去陪心绪不宁的妹妹时，沃特则选择留下，继续等着那个白衣女子，看她是否会再次出现。在他等了3个小时后，那道神秘的身影果然现身。他来到劳拉母亲的墓碑前，小心翼翼脱下斗篷外套，露出里面白色的连衣裙，也让沃特彻底看清她就是自己此前遇到的白衣女子。刚开始她还如惊弓之鸟一样，见有人前来想要迅速逃走，不过在看清沃特的样子后，似乎也认出了他。
You were kind to me.
2 men came by after we met. They said you had escaped from an asylum. Wait, stop! I told them nothing. I told them nothing.
You don't think I should be taken back, do you?
Oh, I'm glad I helped you. And that you had someone else help you.
女人盯着劳拉母亲的墓碑喃喃自语，说自己要把这里打扫得更白一些，因为费尔利夫人喜欢白色。紧接着她又紧皱眉头，说有比墓地还要可怕的地方，那里的尖叫声和吵闹声不断，让她根本无法入睡。沃特立刻明白她指的是疯人院，也清楚她必定遭受了非人的折磨，但女人随后的话却让她全身神经陡然绷紧。她用斩钉截铁的语气断言，劳拉嫁给帕西瓦尔只会遭遇不幸。就在沃特想要追问其中缘由时，他却突然开始失控，爆发出撕心裂肺的尖叫。
Calm yourself. Don't let me think the person who put you in the asylum had good reason.
He had no good reason.
He?
It was Percival Glyde who locked me up in that asylum. He has done terrible things, and he will do worse.
从不远处一位年长妇人的呼喊声里，沃特几乎可以断定，这位白衣女子正是劳拉母亲信里提过的安凯瑟里克。她显然并没有死，而是被关进了疯人院，而一个冰冷的结论也随之浮出水面。将她囚禁在疯人院的罪魁祸首，竟然是劳拉的未婚夫帕西瓦尔。此时帕西瓦尔已经抵达庄园，刚一见面便对劳拉倾诉思念和爱意。然而因为沃特和那封匿名信的缘故，劳拉的神情里却闪过一丝不易察觉的僵硬。帕西瓦尔似乎对她的疏离不以为意，从容献上精心准备的礼物，那并非什么贵重珠宝，而是一部劳拉最钟爱作家的诗歌集。就在这时，沃特急匆匆从墓地赶回来，还没等他开口，玛丽安就介绍帕西瓦尔给他认识，也让他把到嘴边的话咽下。只剩两人时，他才将白衣女子的名字以及所说的话如实告诉了玛丽安。
I've seen Anne Catherick.
She's alive.
Yes, she is my woman in white. There is no doubt of it.
Did you speak to her?
I did, and I'm sure she wrote the letter.
Why? What possessed her to frighten Laura and slander Sir Percival?
She says it was Glyde who locked her away in the asylum.
What?
She's utterly terrified of him, Marion.
玛丽安难以相信沃特的片面之词，更何况这个指控还来自一个身份不明的人。他坚信劳拉父亲敬重的帕西瓦尔爵士绝非坏人，一位明智的父亲根本不会将自己的女儿推进火坑。沃特心知玛丽安的怀疑合乎情理，但当务之急是在婚礼之前查明真相。这并非出于对劳拉情感的私心，而是唯恐她落入不幸深渊的强烈不安。尽管对沃特的担忧心存疑惑，但为了妹妹的未来，玛丽安经过慎重考量，最终决定将匿名信一事告知家庭律师吉尔莫先生。然而吉尔莫先生的第一反应也和玛丽安如出一辙，认为帕西瓦尔爵士的贵族身份与名望是人格最好的明证。
That does not place him above suspicion.
No one is above suspicion, but there are some elements of this case that are unhappily common. Anonymous letters, an unfortunate woman, sad state of society.
I beg you, sir, please do not consider this case as merely the sad state of society.
Just so you're a young man, take the romantic view. I am older and take the rational.
吉尔莫先生向他们保证会亲自向帕西瓦尔寻求一个合理解释，同时也表明自己与他们持同样审慎的态度，在真相水落石出前不宜让单纯的劳拉卷入这件事。然而沃特刚感到一丝欣慰，在以为看到希望的曙光之时，费尔利先生却突然将玛丽安叫到书房。他以玩忽职守并妄图与小姐建立不正当关系为由，让玛丽安传达自己的旨意，即刻将沃特解雇驱逐出庄园。
Nothing improper has occurred.
Don't try to deny it. It is a blatant abuse of the trust we have placed in him.
At least give him a week's notice.
Out of the question. I've no intention of letting him anywhere near my rooms again.
直到费尔利先生提及帕西瓦尔是为商谈婚礼而来，玛丽安才心头一震。几乎可以断定，一定是他察觉到劳拉和沃特之间的情愫，所以才借叔叔之手将其赶走。玛丽安面露难色地找到沃特，告知他被解雇的决定。此时的沃特已经不在意薪资和工作，心里唯一的念头是如何揭开帕西瓦尔的真面目，将劳拉从命运的深渊边缘拉回。然而他与玛丽安人微言轻，根本动摇不了费尔利先生的决定。万般无奈之下，沃特只能前去和劳拉道别，并将那本为他修复好的书籍作为沉重的礼物归还。
If you should ever need me, Laura, I shall be leaving on the hour. Will you be there?
Of course. I shall be there.
Good day.
沃特终究还是没等来劳拉的身影，他提着行李在庄园门外驻足良久，却不知那扇沉重的大门里，帕西瓦尔正将准备出门的劳拉拦下。最终沃特只能带着满心失望转身离去，离开了里蒙里基庄园，也离开了他刚刚爱上却不得不放弃的恋人。而在家庭律师吉尔莫先生的追问下，帕西瓦尔竟然承认认识白衣女子安凯瑟里克，也承认就是自己亲手将她送进的疯人院，不过却不是他们想象的那样，